Hi, Assalamualaikum. So in my part, I will talk about introduction, which is background of COVID-19 problem and also background of COVID-19 in Malaysia tourism sector. So without further delay, I will talk about background of COVID-19 problem first. The World Health Organization named the COVID-19 a global pandemic on March 11, 2020. China reported 4 cases in Wuhan in December 2019 that were brought on by COVID-19. The first verified case involving a Chinese tourism from Wuhan who travelled from Singapore to Johor Bahru was made by Malaysia on January 25, 2020. This COVID-19 epidemic has infected a large number of people, including those from the Tabligh cluster. In order to limit the spread of the disease, the Malaysian government consented to enact a Movement Control Order (MCO) for the entire state from 18 March 2020 to 31st March 2020. As the case grew, it was persisted for several months. The Malaysian Ministry of Health claims that as of 1 April 2022, Malaysia has officially entered the endemic phase. This is due to the fact that COVID-19 vaccination program and the Malaysian healthcare system are both under control.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Ikhwan Muhammad Ramlan. Now I will explain about impact of COVID-19 on tourism sector in Malaysia, which is increase in unemployment. Firstly, tourism is a dynamic and competitive industry that require the ability to adapt constantly to customer changing needs and desire. As the customer satisfaction, safety and enjoyment are particularly the focus of tourism business. Travel and tourism are important sector in Malaysia with strong linkage to many parts of economy contribution, direct and indirect. Tourism is one of the fastest growing industry in the world and a major source of foreign exchange and employment opportunities for many developing countries such as Singapore, Malaysia and etc. Tourism is important in many countries. According to the United Nations World Tourism Organization, World Tourism Barometer said that because of tourism is the factor of the country's economic growth, this an effort by the government to diversify the economy and make it less dependent on export. Now, tourism is Malaysia's third largest source of income from foreign exchange earning. The industry has thrived and contributed to our economy. Many of us have been tourists when we travel to other countries, but at the same point in our life, the definition of the tourism industry is very difficult to define. As we know, tourism activities and life in place outside their usual environment for more than a year of casual business or other purpose. For the spread of the COVID-19 virus reduced tourist spending by more than half in the first half of the year. Datuk Seri Nancy Shukri, Minister of Tourism, Art and Culture said that the figure had dropped by 68.2% and 69.8% respectively from the same period the previous year due to the COVID-19 virus outbreak. Around 45 billion in tourist spending was lost in the first half of the year because of curfew and total lockdown restriction in many cities. The hospitality and tourism industry have become dangerous for those who work in them. Furthermore, the restaurant, cafe and bar industry have been completely shut down. Table 1 and 2 indicate how COVID-19 affect tourism primary affiliates. The spread of COVID-19 has seen one hotel after another have to take the painful decision to stop their operation following the pandemic impact on the country's hospitality industry. Also, most hotel booking being cancelled are between 70% and 80%. Hotel workers are among the worst affected, with their wages being cut, being forced to go on unpaid leave, being forced to use annual leave, and even worse, being fired. More than 30,000 people in the hospitality industry across the country lost their jobs. More than 10,000 were furloughed without pay and more than 6,000 workers were cut wages due to the industry shrinking business activity.
So today I will talk about company closed down since COVID-19. The COVID-19 pandemic and movement restriction have resulted in the closure of over 37,000 small and medium business and 200 sport-related business according to information provided today to the Dewan Rakyat. According to Minister of Entrepreneur Development and Cooperative, No Omar, around 37,415 business had to shut down after the third round of the Movement Control Order (MCO 3.0) was implemented in May of this year. There were 26,007 of them, the majority of which were small business, around 2,738 small and medium-sized businesses followed. In the meantime, T. Lian Kurt, Minister of Youth and Sport, stated that 200 sport-related businesses were forced to close last year because they could no longer afford the cost of running their business. The majority of them were wholesaler and owner of fitness center. The Minister of Sport also said that the restriction of movement affected 93.2% of players in the sport industry, and 588.8% said that needed financial help to run their business and day-to-day activities.
Hi, my name is Azrin Harina Bintari Faizal. Now I will explain about the third impacts of COVID-19 on tourism sector in Malaysia, which is decrease in GDP. The World Tourism Organization, also known as UNWTO 2020, claims that tourism is one of the world's greatest economic sector and has a sizable impact on the GDP of developed countries like Malaysia. In addition, Malaysia's travel and tourism industry is significant with both indirect and direct links to numerous other economic sectors. So the third largest contributor to Malaysia's GDP was the travel and tourism sector. However, according to Statista, the COVID-19 pandemic caused a shortfall in the rise of tourist visits year over year as Malaysia closed its borders to foreign visitors and imposed entry restrictions on non-residents. So as tourism revenue virtually disappeared, firms that cater to tourists witnessed a major drop in profits. So if you remember, during the 2 years of the pandemic, government promoted internal travel to make up for the loss of foreign tourism. However, domestic tourist spending was unable to offset the losses in this industry, particularly as a result of the country's travel bans and lockdowns that hindered domestic travel. Strategies to overcome the decrease in GDP is by implementing new policies such as allowing foreign tourists who already vaccinated to visit Malaysia, as it will help our country to increase in GDP. This is because when foreign people come to our country, they will spend their money in things like transportation, accommodation to stay, and food and beverages, where these expenditures will help to increase in our GDP that our country needs in order to solve the problem of decreasing in GDP, especially in tourism industry where foreign tourists are the one who contributed the most in positive GDP. So that's all from me. Thank you.
For background of COVID-19 in Malaysia tourism sector, due to Movement Control Order, which is MCO, there are many sectors that of the economy that have been affected, and this is also including tourism sector, which during MCO, it was prohibited for tourism sector to operate where the country border was closed in order to prevent COVID-19 to spread more. The COVID-19 impact on the tourism industry is the highest affected sector since the tourism industry involving face-to-face interactions is likely to be disproportionately affected, including hotels and restaurants and travel and tourism services. The tourism sector has been severely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. To create recovery measures, monitor and enhance reaction tactic research into the COVID-19 tourist consequences is crucial. The COVID-19 effect may be felt across the board in the tourism industry. A natural calamity, a crisis in social, political, economic and tourist demand all resulted from this extraordinary crisis. Compared to the last health-related disaster, the COVID-19 pandemic is more widespread and has a longer-lasting impact. Studies on tourism, such as those on SARS in 2003, the H1N1 pandemic in 2009, and MERS in 2015, contrast and reveal similar tendencies on smaller scales. Now I will end this video with a conclusion. Malaysia's national economy has benefited significantly from the tourism industry. This industry has made significant contribution and given the national economy a tremendous boost. The COVID-19 conflict has had a detrimental influence and damaged the tourism sector's economic reputation, and the industry is not an exception to these issues. Since COVID-19 existence, the industry has been repercussions that could impact the growth of this sector, including impacting an increase in unemployment, closed company, and decrease in GDP. The COVID-19 virus epidemic cost the tourism industry Rm45 billion in the first half of the year. The hospitality and tourism industry has become risky for individuals who work in them as a result of curfews and absolute lockdown restrictions in numerous cities. Due to these factors, people in tourism sector suffer a lot by these impacts, which many employees who work in tourism sector have been retrenchment, and companies need to close their operation due to suffer loss rather than make profit, which indirectly cause decrease in GDP because the lack of foreign tourists who come in Malaysia. However, there are strategies to solve this problem, such as launches the application process for 6 incentive-based programs by SOCSO, where this strategy is using to help solving increase in unemployment in tourism sector, which workers who have lost their jobs or been laid off can find work in a field that will support the operation and maintenance of the company. Next, start to focus on domestic tourism in order to solve lost company problem, which companies are able to survive since they still can make profit out of local tourists. And last but not least, implementing policy that can help increase in GDP as a solution in decrease in GDP problem, which policy like let foreign tourists who already vaccinated to visit our country, where this action can help increase in GDP since their money flow in our country. So that's all about our group presentation. Thank you for watching our video and goodbye.